We can just start this thing right there. So wait, you're public speaking in front of what, a lot of people? How many times?
Public speaking in front of about 150 people, and I said I was sharing some experience between working and schooling, and I was like, yeah, I love it because I'm able to work, but then I'm also able to, get my schooling, my book learning in. Oh my God, dude, in front of like 150 people.
Did
It
they
was
catch on it? Did they do anything? Did they call you out?
hilarious. You know what? One of the other speakers came up to me after and he's like, hey, you've been watching a little bit too much Trailer Park Boys, eh?
Oh shoot, dude! Was that your first time speaking, or what? Were you just nervous, or what happened?
Yeah, it was probably like my second or third time, and I was nervous. That was the largest crowd I've been in front of, and after that, I was like, bro, I got to go to Toastmasters. I got to get a coach. I got to figure this shit out.
Uh, all right. So, for those who don't really know a lot about you, let's give a brief breakdown of you. So, you call yourself a serial entrepreneur. I saw that you said you're doing something with hedge funds too, which is always kind of cool. I always like, saying that, when people ask me, like, what do you do for a living? I like being stupid. It's like, oh, I manage hedge funds. And because everyone's like, I don't really know what that is. So that's the beauty of it. So, but yeah, so like, why don't you give everyone a little brief introduction so they kind of get a gist of who we're talking to here?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. So I've got four companies that I focus on at the moment. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. Born and raised just 30 minutes outside, but spend a lot of time in downtown. And four companies at the moment. One is Squadra Capital. It's a commodity and currency traded fund, so a hedge fund. In the process of building that, did a lot of networking, obviously, with family offices, venture capital firms, private equity. And people would come to me with projects and say, hey, are you guys going to invest in this or that? And I'd say no, but I was just talking with a family office that doesn't want to invest into our commodity fund, so let me introduce you to them. Started another company, Alteza Capital, that does a lot of introductions and funding for different companies, technology, cannabis, real estate. So that's Alteza Capital. And then third business is NXT Digital in the NFT space. We help artists get into the NFT space. We partnered up with Aircoins to build a virtual art gallery, which is going to be great. We're going to be able to feature a lot of artwork in a virtual art gallery and have different events. And then the fourth business is coaching young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general, generally around fundraising or just business. And then I brought together about 10 coaches to form the Global Coaching Association, which we're launching in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be great.
Dude, so what's up, man? How'd you get involved on this? Did you always have the entrepreneurial spirit and just decided just to keep grinding it out and going wherever it took you, or what?
Yeah, totally. So I was always doing something, man. When I was in high school, I was like either like selling fireworks or I was going on adventures or like buying and selling dirt bikes. I had two snowmobiles. I'd never ridden one, but I was pissed actually because I bought these snowmobiles for like 2 years in a row. And then that next year we got so much snow in my street. I was like, man, I would have ridden that thing like everywhere. It would have been so fun. But yeah, I've always just been, so intrigued with, finances and how much freedom it can bring you. So I was like, man, I hate this money thing being such a big problem in so many people's lives. I don't want it to be a big problem in mine. So I look at it as a huge game. I want
Sure.
to have as much freedom as possible. So
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things, man. Is like a lot of, or my opinion, what a lot of people seek out is financial freedom, and what almost everybody wants. And that, and just having that weight takes off a lot of weight as far as stress and just worrying about all the other things in your life, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to go travel or you want to go, do something fun or you want to help out your family members, it just opens up so many doors and opportunities. And honestly, it's like it's more fun. I mean, like having money versus not having money, it's
Sure.
more fun. So
Yeah, you got a lot more toys to play with and stuff, just like you were saying.
that's it, man. That's
So,
it.
so how'd you grow up? Did you grow up, kind of on the lower end of poor or middle class, and that's what kind of was your motivation too, just to try to get the financial freedom, or what?
Yeah, it was I would say middle class, and then my family, we went through a pretty tough time with the car accident that my dad and I were in when I
Mm.
was in grade three. He was concussed really bad in the car accident, and then that set us back financially big time because he couldn't work. for quite a few years, and then there was a lot of chaos in our family for a few years. Ended up creating a divorce, and then some more problems after that. So through that like struggle and watching, you know, both my parents go through that, I was like, oh man, that's rough. I don't want that to this financial situation to continue and persist. So let's work on that as much as possible.
Yeah, that's it's always have some type of motivating factor where you see some type of, I guess a life like that, and that's when you're like, hey, I don't want to live like this. I want to live something better, and I want to give back to my, whether it's you start your own family or people around you, and just said, yeah, and just when you're able to do that with financial freedom, though, it makes it all worth it, I guess. That hey, you worked so hard, and like, look, you just said you just named off four different businesses, and so you got that motivation, you got that work ethic, dude. And did you always have that work ethic too ingrained in you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm almost like ambitiously lazy.
Ooh.
And what I mean by that is like I would rather enjoy my life and do what I want when I want. So I'm willing to work really hard so that I'm able to do that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like sure, I can make 80 grand a year working for somebody and I don't really have to think too creatively, and like I don't really have to push myself, and you can almost be lazy in a job. You know what I mean? Like it really doesn't take much effort to go to a job and just work 8 hours a day and then go home and chill. Like that's a lot less work than, you know, working all the time. So you know, and then when you my goal is ambitiously lazy is pursue entrepreneurship to the point where then I get my time back, and then I can go back from there. But along the process I've realized that I'm never going to stop because I just love building businesses. Like it's so fun, man. If you tell me, hey Tom, you can go dirt biking with me and my friends for like 3 days on a weekend, or I can go to like a seminar with like a bunch of business guys and we can like work on building a business over the weekend, I would choose that. So
Yeah, dude. Like you hit it on the head right there. Just that it seems like I forgot what book it is. I think it's like the theme of it is actually talking about how people live their lives working these bullshit jobs and how unhappy they are because they're not actually exploring their dreams, and um they're just not getting the creativity they have within them out of it, and they're just kind of just sitting around just acting like they're working all day. I think it's actually called Bullshit Jobs. I could be wrong
yeah.
on that. This is why I need a fact checker on here. But yeah, and that's the whole theme of the book, and just how just people just live their lives in quiet desperation, just and after 30 years, I just kind of look back and wonder what the hell happened and why did I live my life like that and not take a chance at something. And where I'm getting at too with that is just, because I've always kind of had that, I've always had that go to school, you'll make money, get more education, the more success you'll have in whatever job you want to get, which is, there is some truth to that, but it's not always true. And just that, with this podcast was actually the first, if you want to call this, I don't know if I would call it a business. It's a podcast. I don't know, but it was the first thing I ever did as far as with entrepreneurial, where it was like my own thing, and I could work my own hours and do it the way I wanted to do, and get out my own creativity. Does that kind of make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Totally, totally. I don't know where I read this, but they say like it's only considered work if there's something else you'd rather be doing, right? So
Mm.
when I'm building my businesses, I love the people I'm talking with, or I'm having meetings with. Like you and I on this podcast is you know, for my businesses as well. You could consider this quote unquote work, but this is a hell of a lot of fun at the same time, you
Sure.
know? So when I transitioned from having a job to going into full-time business, I actually realized that being in a job was much harder than building the businesses, even though I worked, quote unquote, worked a hell of a lot more. So, you know, I was working 8 hours a day for somebody else and I was miserable. And then in the evenings, I would work on my business for myself for 4 or 5 hours a night, and then I go to sleep. And then when I went full-time business, I still work those 16-hour days, but it literally feels like I'm working maybe 3 hours a day or two. Because if you were to look at me from an outside perspective, it's like, okay, this guy does 16-hour days. But from my perspective, there's only 3 hours or maybe 2 hours a day where I don't enjoy what I'm doing.
Mm.
So technically, from my perspective, I only work 2 or 3 hours a day.
Yeah, that's a great point at it, because you're actually doing something you want to do, and it's not work. And the definition where people were just, with those bullshit jobs, are literally just sitting there staring at the clock. And I mean, I'm not, and I'm one of them. I mean, I have a great job. Don't get me wrong, and I'm very fortunate to have it. And I don't. It's not one of those jobs that I actually don't mind going to work every day, because I
Mhm.
actually enjoy it so much. But a lot of people don't have that. They're not as fortunate. So, Yeah, so working those 16-hour days or 12-hour, 8-hour days, whatever they're doing, just it's like they just watch the clock all day long and just, beat themselves up mentally and physically. But I wanted to ask though that, you know, it seems like the norm for entrepreneurs is that you have to work 16-hour days in order to be successful. Or, you're sleeping on the ground floor like Elon Musk did or whatever, just to get his, Tesla factory going or whatever it was at the time. I mean, do you kind of think that's alongside it? Or is it just one of those things, like you said, that, yeah, you're there for 16 hours, but you actually enjoy being there. So you don't really mind what's going on?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I mean, there's so many different aspects to that. You can look at people that have, you know, been born into like very prestigious and very entrepreneurial families, and they have never been bankrupt. They've never slept on a floor. They've always had phenomenal life situations, and they're phenomenal entrepreneurs, right?
Sure.
I think what gets, unfortunately, I don't think they should get bashed. I think society really bashes them. But I think what really gets more publicity is the struggle, because more people relate to the struggle, because more people have to go through that to be successful. I think a lot of it can be avoided with proper like coaching or mentorship or guidance, whether you have somebody that's done it before. Like if Elon Musk was working with somebody who was, much further along with him, he probably could have done more in a shorter time period. And maybe he wouldn't have had to sleep on the floor for, that 6 months or something if he
Yeah.
had some guidance. So it's hard to do like a blanket statement. I wouldn't say like it's a requirement that you have to sleep in a car or sleep on your floor. Like you hear so many entrepreneurs. I mean, I was listening to Ed Milet. He's got a great podcast, of course, and like one of his big statements is he remembers being in the shower and they cut off the water to his house because he couldn't afford the water anymore. And then he was going across the street to the community center to have a shower every day. And like he's so grateful every day to have water, and he's worth like $400 million now. But no, I wouldn't say, hey, you have to go without water to be a successful entrepreneur, right?
Right.
It's individualized. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think it's some people do make it as the social or the norm, not a social norm, but just the narrative of entrepreneur that, you got to stick to the grind and it's going to have hard times, which you will if you want it done right. But also, like you said, that people love those stories. And I'm a sucker for those stories that, people hit rock bottom and they grind the shit out of stuff and they had nothing. And then now they're, riding, I don't know, having yachts out in the ocean, just partying like the Wolf of Wall Street style or whatever, dude. And so, yeah, I'm a sucker for those types too. But you talked about mentorship. I mean, and that's one thing that I forgot who I was talking with, but we were talking about the difference between role models and having mentors. And I didn't realize the difference in it. That, I looked at as kind of one and the same, but a role model is kind of somebody that, if you want to look up and be like Elon Musk, that's fine. But if you can't really take the exact same road as he did, just because it might not work out for you. But if you have a mentor, you kind of have somebody who can kind of show you and help you along the way. Is that kind of how you feel, and show you like what's right and what's wrong, and like give you hints and tips down the road to, kind of push you that way and onto the success road?
Totally, totally. And just before I dive into that, how we were talking about like the stories of struggle, I think like I haven't thought too much about this, but just flying off the cuff is, like a human nature, we really want to relate to somebody, or we
Sure.
want like have some form of comparison, right? So if you're like, oh my God, I just lost 20 grand in a business deal, and I still have 40 grand in the bank, but I'm so stressed. And then you listen to a podcast and Ed Milet had his water turned off. Like all of a sudden your life is so much better,
I agree
right?
100%. I agree 100%. It's like, it's really
Right?
not that bad.
Or you lost $1 million or whatever, or like you hear the stories of like tragic, like someone lost a daughter or a brother or something like that, and then you're just like, wow, like I really don't have it this bad, like let's keep pushing, let's keep going. And it's like a source of fuel. So I think it's, when you do use comparison in a very positive way, it can be very beneficial to your life. And then what you mentioned about like, coaching, I have two definitions for coaching and mentorship.
Okay.
So for myself, mentorship is somebody that looks at your life in like a holistic way. Your values, your morals, your ethics, your short-term goals, your 5-year goals, your 10-year, your lifelong goals. What do you want your life to stand for? Your relationship with your family, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with yourself. your hobbies. And a mentor can really guide you around having a holistic life that is significant and fulfilling, right? So at the end of your life, you're like, wow, that was amazing life. I'm so happy that I lived that life. Opposed to, for me, a coach is somebody that's very kind of granular and down to the details, where they're, hey Tom, your public speaking skills are not that great. You said book learning in front of 150 people. Let me help you out with that. So then they give me like details around public speaking, or I need help with sales, or I need help with whatever, my mindset. They're able to go into that and really provide coaching. But I would not rely on that coach per se for, hey, I'm having a massive fight with my brother, or this business deal is going sideways. They're not there for that. So
Yeah.
for myself, where I'm like very grateful, as I look for somebody that can do both. So I have a phenomenal coach and mentor. They look at every aspect of my life. I bounce like all of my ideas off of them, all four businesses, as well as other projects and other ideas, and they can give me awesome guidance. They've accomplished like so much more than I obviously have now, and like where I really plan on going. $1 billion net worth, that's what we're going for, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
so I'm really grateful to have somebody to give me like a life direction, as well as business direction as well.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's one thing that, a lot. I've always kind of tell people, hey, if I know I'm not doing good at everything, I'm not great at everything. So if I am doing something wrong, or you think it could be done a better way, like let me know. You don't want to surround yourself with just yes man. Like I know I fucked up that word book learning, so tell me that. Tell me I need to go improve my stuff. And it's the same thing for here. When like we were talking about, hey man, if I fuck up a word or say the wrong stat or fact or whatever, that's okay. But I want somebody to call me out on it. But not everybody likes those critiques and that feedback, right? But I feel like that's what people need in order to grow, in order to get better. Is just like, hey, you sucked at this, now do better. And even though it sucks, and I don't, it sucks you hearing that, but if you're told you're great all the time, then how can you get better? I mean, but you're really not doing anything spectacular, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you need to be humbled a lot of the time. You need to step
Exactly.
up the game a lot of the time as well. And again, with going back to the coaching and mentorship, somebody that can give you that constructive criticism, that's not just calling you to say, hey, you're like an idiot, and you're just like not helpful at all, right? Like,
There you go. Constructive
tell me
criticism.
I'm an idiot. Tell me how I can be better, right?
Exactly.
A better idiot, right? But like where a coach and mentor can kind of look at all those aspects of yourself or your life, and then maybe you're beating yourself up too much. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Tom, you messed up one word. You don't need to be in like a depression for like 3 weeks, right? It's one word. Like, stop being such an idiot. Let's go, right? So some people need more encouragement. Some people need more, being a little bit more humble. And that's where having someone that you can speak with, they can really assist you with what you need.
Yeah, I'm all for those humbling experiences, and that I need them in life. Like when my girl dumped me a few months ago, and then when I do my lifts or whatever, and I don't make the weight I want to or whatever. But you need that in order to grow, in order to get better, and you learn from those mistakes. Where I learn from them anyway. It's like, okay, let me self reflect and figure out what I did wrong, and that way next time I'll in order to prepare whatever, I can do better. And then, like for example, I mean, not because it's not perfect, and we're human beings, and we're not going to get everything perfect at all times. And no matter how much I want it that way, and however much that I wish it was that way all the time, but it's just not, and that. But also taking these chances and learning from your mistakes is what helps you get out of that comfort zone. And like doing this, and I've already kind of touched on it once, but this got me out of my comfort zone. But I knew that by having these conversations and opening myself up to the world and being vulnerable at the same time and trying to have these humbling experiences, I needed that in order to get better at the things I wanted to do. Like you just said, $1 billion was the goal, and you keep doing the same shit, you're just going to keep getting the same results. I mean, just I forgot who said it. Was that Einstein? I don't even know who said that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely insanity. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's one of these things that you got to take a step and, into a different direction in order to gain what you want to. And, and I'm loving your story though, dude. Like you did that. You found the motivation. You've been grinding.
Yeah, life's an adventure, man. And like that's what I think about on a daily basis is I really just want to live a life full of adventure. And it's like business and it's traveling and doing this, that, and the other thing. And, sure, we're going to screw up. We're going to mess up lots of things. We're going to have tons of highs. We're going to have tons of lows.
Hmm.
Um, I honestly don't want to be on a super comfortable, like linear path that is just like step up, step up, step up, step up. I want that like exciting thrill of a life where it's, we're doing something, we're launching a new project. Oh my God, project blew up. Like not good. We need to adjust. Let's do something else. I want to get to the end of my life and be like, whoa, I really lived, like I totally had a life of adventure and thrill and excitement, and I pushed myself to the limit. I was really trying to be the best version I could be. I was really trying to help other people be the best versions of them. I was trying to progress, mankind. I was trying to progress my community, really add value. And if you're trying to truly add value and become a person of value, you need to push yourself in many different aspects. And play, you don't need to play, have fun, live on, enjoy those adventures, and just freaking go for it, man.
Dude, I love it, dude. You're want to be ready to run through a brick wall here in a minute.
Oh, let's get
But,
it. Powerlifting after
but
this.
I love what you said though, dude. Like, I can't remember. I'm gonna probably fuck this up too, but I think it was the Egyptians. Like when you get like as part as like their afterlife or whatever, once you get to the gates or something, they ask you if you ever found joy in your life and what was it. And what you were just talking about, man, finding adventure and having the ups and having the downs, and and like you're saying, that brings value to yourself, and you keep on the grind and keep working hard to gain what you want to, and there's going to be ups and downs, and that you still find joy out of that, and there's something to that, and my point is that and you said like when you're on your, I think if when you're live get the end of your life, I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody else said at one point that when I'm looking back on my life on my deathbed, that I want to say that I had these adventures and I had these life experiences, and I'd rather just not be like, fuck, I wish I would have got that new iPhone that one time or something, but like you can say like I had a life well lived.
Totally, totally, totally agree. And it can be applied to everything. I mean, it's funny because my mentor, this guy's accomplished so much, it's incredible. And he literally tells me to sleep more and have more fun. And I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like my whole life, every coach I've had, every mentor I've had has been like, work harder, let's work harder. And that's
Sure.
how I've been. Like military mindset is like, let's work harder, be disciplined, got to meditate in the morning, then you got to read your book, and then you got to do this, and then you got to do that, and then at noon you got to go for a run. It's like, cool. I did that for a long, long time. But I realized that I created my own prison. You know what I mean? Like I was constantly building and pursuing a life full of adventure and freedom. And I was literally creating my own prison through my own scheduling and through my own discipline and my thought process, because I thought that's what's going to get me to where I wanted to go. And if I was always trying to get somewhere different, because I always have different goals, it's 1 million, 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, whatever, right? We always want to progress. I'm a progressive person. I always want to be better. That means that I'm never going to be happy with my life, because I'm always going to be perfecting my daily schedule to accomplish something that I'm constantly moving the goalposts for. Right. And then I
Sure.
was like, holy shit, man, I'm literally going to live a life of misery. And I'm going to be that like guy that's worth $1 or $2 billion. And now I hate my life and I've got no friends. I've got like no family. I've got no adventures. Somebody asked me like, oh, what'd you do with your life? And I'm like, oh, I just worked in an office all day for
Uh,
my whole life. Like, hell no. It's like, you want to launch this business, crash that business, and you want to go traveling, and then you want to, meet this person, meet that person, build incredible relationships. And, I would way rather be 60, 70, 80 years old and accomplish half, but live an incredible life, opposed to accomplishing double and living in a life of misery,
yeah, I mean, as far as I know, you can't take it with you after you die. I mean, so why not? I mean, I mean, that's great. I mean, I'm not putting it aside though. Work hard. If that's your goal in life and that's what you want out of life, that's fine. But, and I don't want to push aside what you said that, it does take hard work. It does take discipline. It does, you need all that, and you found that. And that's what
Mhm.
got you to where you are now. But, but you've also seemed like you found a balance though too, that if you need to go have some fun and let off some steam or whatever, you can do that. And same way with my training, and you can use this example with anything, that it's okay that all right, 6 days out of the week that you did everything perfect. You got up, got your 8 hours, you ate right all week, kept stress free for the most part, you got all your work done. But on Sunday, if you want to go out and have an ice cream or get off a little bit, have a slice of pizza and a couple of beers or whatever with your boys, and have that,
Yeah.
yeah, and have that time to chill out and bro out a little bit. That's perfectly okay as long as next Monday or whenever the next day comes, you're back on it, dude, and you stick to that schedule. And yeah, there's a place for doing it 24/7, I guess, but also that it doesn't necessarily have to be ingrained that it takes 100% of that. You can, I don't know, I guess I hope this is what I'm trying to say is that you can do all the work and up there, but it's okay to get out of line a little bit, off the barrier, and enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Like actually live life.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Actually
Like,
just live your life. It doesn't have to
right?
be that, you have to do this stuff point A to point B to point C to be successful. Yes, that helps, but you can enjoy a little bit of it too along the way.
Totally. Enjoy all of it. You know what I mean? Like enjoy as much of it as you possibly can. Like I probably lived so much in like discipline and routine that I enjoyed like 8% of my daily activities, where and then 92 of it was just like I had to do it because I had to do it. And then I got to the point too where I'm sure many listeners and yourself, you as well, Chris, have experienced this. Then you do let loose and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have some beers, I'm gonna eat some pizza with the boys, and then you're like, you're enjoying it, but then you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to work extra hard at the gym
Mhm.
tomorrow, and I wish I didn't eat this. And
Oh,
then I'm just like, great. So even when I do enjoy myself, I then I beat myself up for
yep.
enjoying it. Or like you go away for a weekend to go dirt biking or like go snowboarding or whatever, and you're like, oh man, like all this business is piling up and I didn't get it done, blah 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 blah. And like you're not even enjoying snowboarding
True.
because you're thinking about the business that you should be doing. And I did that for years. For years, and I was just like, Tom, you are never going to enjoy your life ever. I'm like, you're such an idiot. What are you doing? But a lot of people, I also think, don't have that awareness where they have that consideration. They just go through it week after week after week after week, day after day after day. And they've been in a job they hate for 10
Yep.
years. They're building a business they hate. I just read a really great article on Instagram or LinkedIn, and this guy was building, I think it was like a $15 million business, and he hated his life, worked 16 hours a day, made crazy money, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then he quit, started a new business. He makes like, a tenth of the money he used to, but he loves his life. And now it's just like so much better, right? So just
Yeah.
being aware of that, right? And what comes back to the like, really ground myself in my life is, significance and fulfillment. Like you said, you cannot take it with you,
Mhm.
right? Regardless of what it is. So when you get to the end of your life, and I read and I done some research on like the greatest regrets and what people say when you've got a month left to live, and it all kind of comes back to significance and fulfillment. They wish they spent more time with their friends, they wish they spent more time with their family, and it's all about like relationships and their values within themselves. And they wish they felt happier, they wish they felt
Mhm.
stronger, they wish they took more risks, they did more adventures, they really pursued what they desired, right? So that's why I love, you know, my coaching and mentoring business, because no matter how much money I make, I'm not going to be significant. I'm not going to feel significant and fulfilled. But when I help other people overcome their limiting beliefs and become the best versions of themselves, and they don't say book learning in front of 150 people, then they're happy, they're
Yeah.
joyful, they're becoming better. And that makes me feel significant and fulfilled. So, I really think that's such an important factor to keep in mind when you're, pursuing your career or pursuing your business, is when you've got 1 month left to live and you remember back on your life, are you happy with every choice that you made, right?
Yeah, dude, that reminds me. I mean, I've talked about it on here, I think already for sure. But I was listening to a podcast, and these two guys were talking about they were having some whiskeys, and they were talking. There were two comedians, and they were talking about the life on the road and being successful, but being away from their families at the same time. And this younger dude was talking to the comedian that's pretty good, Bert Kreischer. I don't know if you know who he is, but he asked me, he's like, "Hey, how do you deal with, he's coming up. He's like, how do you deal with being away from your family and everything and being away from your daughters?" And he's like, does it get any better? And in order to be successful and be who you are today, and he started tearing up a little bit, and he's like, dude, to do it, it doesn't get any better. I mean, you're not going to have that. regular fatherhood, Hallmark TV show you see as far as a fatherhood. But if you want this type of life and to be this type of success, and that you could tell, like he started tearing up, and he almost started crying on the podcast. He basically was, and then they both kind of teared up, and at the same time, and he was just like, "Yeah, you just got to kind of figure out what you want out of life, and you just gotta, you know, if it's this type of success to have all the money in the world and all the fame in the world, but at what cost? You're not the greatest dad in the world." And he kind of said that too, that he just felt like he was not one of the better dads in the world. And it was like, fuck, man. It's like, is that really what you want though out of life? And as far as success, and which everyone wants, everyone's got their own definition of success, I guess. And I'm loving what you're saying is that, it's like trying to get the best of both worlds. Is
Yeah.
that, have work hard, play hard, get to where you want to be, but also don't be afraid to, live your life and have an adventure and be the values and morals on your family if that's what you have, and kind of have the total package, I guess. And that's what always success kind of meant to me, is like be well rounded and be the man that you want to be, and hopefully be the person that when other people look at you, you hope when they are looking at you, they're thinking the same thing that you are, that, oh wow, he's a great man.
Yeah, man. It's like I say it a lot, and it's like individuality. Like, what is true to you? If you want to be a monk, like don't have sex, don't get married, whatever, just chill, relax, meditate all the time. That could be your life, that you're just fulfilled, significant, and you're so happy with your life. Maybe it is, being a long-term investor like Warren Buffett, and you just want to sit in an office all day and you want to read reports and you want to study and you want to invest and you want a relationship or you don't want a relationship, but you're super, super happy, right? Like my life would drive people insane. Other people's lives drive me insane. So really like take that time to sit down and write out like what are your values, what are your morals, what are your ethics, what do you want to accomplish with your life, what do you want to do, how much free time do you want, how much do you want to work, like what
Yeah.
are you going to do with that money, and then really pursue it, right? The definition of success is, in my opinion, is like pursuing worthwhile goals, because the definition is never guaranteed. Or I mean, the destination is never guaranteed. I never know if I'm going to reach my goals, but if I'm on a journey that I'm enjoying with worthwhile company, the people that I'm working with, then if I don't even reach the goal, I'm super happy with my life anyways, right?
Yeah.
And even if you are trying to reach your goal, chances are you're going to keep moving the goal anyways. So just focus on um really, what do you want? Like, do you want kids? You don't want kids? Both are fine. Stop listening to society. Who gives a shit what society says? Like,
Exactly.
do what you want. Do what you want, man.
Exactly. That's the thing. You gotta at some point to stop caring what society or what other people think about you, and or what you're doing with your life. And they're like, because I have people in my life. Not I'm not going to call anybody out or and say anything, but it's always like, why are you not doing this, Chris? Why did you not, take that job? Why are you not? I don't know why. Or it's always like, well, you could always be doing better. And I think it's just part of their way of helping me out, as far as like, oh, you need to quit your job and go find a higher paying job and stuff. And you shouldn't be living your life like this. And I was like, well, bro, I thought I was doing pretty good. I mean, I'm basically debt free besides the house I just bought. And I don't have any illegitimate kids. I haven't been married. I'm not
Not that
addicted to
you're like,
drugs or alcohol. And, I thought I got a full-time job. I got this going on. I'm got my health going on. I'm doing pretty well, I think. But it's always other people who are always just like, no, Chris, you should have went and did this. And I was like, why? Why? What does it matter to you what I'm doing? It's like you should be. And I understand that they're trying to help me at the same time and give me life advice, but it's also that, well, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm very fortunate, very blessed to have what I have, and I've worked hard to be here, I guess. And not everybody can say that, and
yeah,
and it's one of those things that I don't know how to say this best, but because it's just like it also puts me in a different place, that I guess I start to overthink it, that, well, maybe I could be doing something different, and maybe I am doing something wrong. But really then I sit back and think about it. So, well, I'm on a good life path here. I make good, well-rounded decisions, and all these decisions I feel like are adding up, and it's going to get to a bigger spot, kind of what you were talking about earlier, and where I want to be. So I don't really get why I'm being told I'm the bad guy here. Does that
yeah,
kind of make sense what I'm trying to say?
totally, man.
Yeah.
I totally relate. Um, and one thing I want to add on to that is I've been thinking about this quite a bit for like the past 6 months or year. And I almost find that when we say other people would say this to me, it's actually not a huge amount of other people. It's actually our own inner voice. And
Mm,
it's our own doubt and fear. And I would say this, I'm like, oh, people would always tell me like I work too hard. And then I really thought about it. And I was like, I think maybe one person every 6 months told me I work too hard, or maybe once every 3 months. You know what I mean? So
sure.
like over the course of 3 years, say it was every 3 months, so that's 4 people per year over 3 years. That's 12 people, right? And then I'm like, okay, so that's 12 people. That's not a lot of people, but like, why do I have this mindset of people tell me I work too hard? It's because I like chose to hang on to those
Sure.
few occurrences and then repeat them and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. And I would like focus on it. So I'm like, oh, so many people say it. I'm like, well, it's only been 12 people. What do I mean so many people said it? You know what I mean? And it could be something about like, public speaking or whatever it is, and it's like, do people actually say that? Do people actually really care what you do with your life? Because I don't think they do. They're focused on their life and what
Sure.
they're doing. And if you want to work super, super hard, maybe they get mad at you for a little while because they can't hang out with you as much. But in reality, it's probably you imposing a lot of your own like negative self-talk and
Hmm.
negative like doubts and fears onto your own self and your mindset. So just like guarding that and being like, I was just doing this the other week about something that's going on business. I'm like, why am I stressing about this so hard? I'm like, my mindset is like being programmed to like stress about this. So like just cut that thought pattern. That thought pattern is not assisting you. You know what I mean? So
I know
transition.
exactly what you mean, dude. Because just touching on that, it's so easy, especially in today's times. I feel like to be negative, and that when somebody, if you are negative, well, when a person's negative towards you, it's so easy to hang on to it too. Because I mean, I'm guilty of it just because somebody will say, like, like I said, you not necessarily work harder, but you should have, you should go find a job that's higher paid, or you should quit your job now and start being an electrician. That's what one guy was telling me. Dude. I was like, that's not, can't quit and throw everything away just to go taking a, apprenticeship, which, there is, I guess I could, but I'm not going to do that,
Right.
but crap, I almost lost my train of thought, but yeah, that's it. So it's just so easy to be negative, and that it's one of those things that when I find myself getting negative and I find myself in that negative comfort zone or negative loop, that I just got like, all right, dude, get yourself out of here, turn things around and get back positive. And it's like almost also trying to surround myself with more positive people in my life. And you can relate to this because, you don't hang out with just, you try to hang out with the same people who think basically like minded, your own tribe, rather than just people who are off doing their own thing, just telling you like your shit all the time. Who wants to hang around like that all the time, for example, I went and saw Top Gun the other day. Thought it was awesome. Great movie, right? And everyone I've talked to so far has loved it, right? But I bet you there is one person out there who just fucking loves being negative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, and I'm probably going to find it sooner or later, and like somehow we'll get on this subject. And hopefully it ain't you, Tom, but start talking. Man,
I hate Top Gun.
yeah, exactly.
I hate you, Chris, because you like Top Gun.
No, no, it's
I'm
exactly what it
done.
is.
I'm done. Podcast
All
over,
right,
bro.
thanks
Podcast
everybody. We're out
over.
of here. No, but that's exactly it. Like everyone I've talked to thought Top Gun was a badass movie, right? And then
Yeah.
now we go find some random dude just like, oh, you liked it? Well, I just want to fucking shit on it because I know you liked it. And it's like, well, what
Right.
did you hate about it, right? And they're like, I ain't gotta tell you. They're like, no, it sucked. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, tell me what you didn't like, man. Did you not like Tom Cruise? I mean, what's up, man? And it's just people like that. They just choose to be negative just because they think that it's cool, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And um, I really struggled with like what people thought for a long time. I was
Sure,
a people pleaser. I was always a people pleaser. I want everybody to be happy all the time.
I agree.
I was like thinking about this, I don't know, when I was like 22 or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? No matter what I do, someone's gonna hate it.
Sure.
And, like if I love to dirt bike, there's somebody out there that's like dirt biking is dangerous and you're gonna hurt yourself and you shouldn't do it. If I want to be a Buddhist monk and they're like, that's a bad idea, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Then there's people that love it, and then if you want to be Christian, and then people love it, people hate it. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You want to go swing dancing, people love it, they hate it. You want to fight UFC,
Mhm.
they love it, they hate it. So like, no matter what you choose, people either love it or hate it. You drink a cup of water, people hate water. You know what I mean?
Thank you for
And
hydrating.
I literally was just like, bro, I'm so done caring about what people think,
That's
like, because it's impossible to please everybody.
it
There's
is.
there's what, 7 billion people in the world.
No,
No matter what decision you choose to do, someone's gonna love it or hate it. And it's a lot of people. You want to be an electrician? I have an electrical degree as well.
impressive.
And there's a big chunk of people that think electrical's stupid and a waste of time. Like, probably like hundreds of millions of people. Like, that's a lot of people. And then there's a lot of people that think it's a great idea, like a couple billion. You
Sure.
know what I mean? So it's just like, why am I wasting energy on this, man? Like, do whatever the hell I want.
Dude, I look, Tom, I love your mindset, man. I mean, is this something that, do you meditate? Do you think about stuff a lot, or is this something you've just been picking up? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
26, just
Okay.
turned 26
Yeah,
last
so
year.
you're young dudes. I mean, is this, you know, because, when I was 20, let's say probably not until I was turned 25, maybe 26, 27, I really started to change my mindset and was like, all right, let's start looking at how things I can grow and how I can get better with myself. Just because, you know, leaving college, I felt like a fucking loser, dude. And it's like all I was doing was just there to party, really, right? And was just not really thinking about my future. And then when everybody left, and started living their life, I was just kind of stuck and didn't really have a job. I moved back in with my mom and pop, and it was just like, well, I mean, I felt like a huge loser. I didn't know where to go, and I didn't really know how to think about things or look at life. And I guess what I'm getting at is I wish I would have had your mindset at the time, though. Just and it's taken me, I'm going to be 36 soon, and it was taking me this much time to actually kind of figure out. All right, let me change the way I've been thinking about things and actually look at it into a different light and change myself into a growth mindset and just that not everything is bad. Not and I used to always hate people like just because they were so successful and they were doing very well for themselves, and it was like that could have been me. Like if I would have had that if I would have had that in my life, I would have been there, and I didn't really understand, the importance of work and self discipline and, taking the ups and downs like you were talking about earlier. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is this is something that life has just gave you that you were just born with, or you just kind of learned it along your way as far as your life path or life experiences, as far as your mindset, mentality?
Totally. I'll dive into that, but you just gave two another great examples. I'm like, if you make too much money, people will hate you.
Exactly. People shit on it, dude.
If you're too disciplined, people will hate you.
It's like no matter what, you can't win.
I know, and it's just hilarious. Um, but yeah, I would say it was a combination of things. When I was younger, I've really had I actually got to say, like, movies and TV
Ooh.
series and whatnot actually, like, really gave me a sense of, I don't know, like, who I wanted to be. And it was always the movies of people that overcame and, like, became, and they, like, made an actual impact, and they changed, and they did something significant, whether it was whatever, like Batman or like something like that, like something cool like that. And I was just like, man, like, I feel like I've got this choice in life, and I can either do something that I really want to do, like make an impact, or I could just, like, go through life and do something, a little bit less. And I'm like, what do I want to do? And I always just really wanted to do something significant. And I'm not saying that creating money is significant. I mean, there's you can be a school teacher and whatever, make whatever money, who cares, but you're, like, changing lives. That's super
Sure.
significant. So I do not say, like, scale is significant. Like, I don't think anybody that's doing greater things or whatever, everything is very significant. What I'm saying is, like, what I want to do with my life is on scale. I really, really want to scale large things because I think it's a lot of fun. So I had this, like, when I was watching those movies, was a sense of accomplishment. And I wanted to become somebody that I was really proud of, and I wanted to step into those shoes and accomplish things that I was going to be proud of myself for accomplishing. So that was of scale for me. I don't know why, but I'm really attracted to scale. I really want to, like, change the world. I want to impact billions of people's lives. I want to do things that are, in my eyes, extremely significant. So when I was watching those movies, it was like, hey, they went through struggle and they kept working and they kept working and they went hard and they went hard and they worked hard. And then out of high school, I got my first job at 14 carrying wood in the lumber mill. And I was like, okay, this is like the first step. And then I got like, into affiliate marketing. And then that was the second step. And then I got some coaches in affiliate marketing. And then I started reading business books. And I was like, I literally read some business books and I would like put them down and stare at the wall and be like, this changed everything. you know so then, or like a book on philosophy and you're just like, oh my god, this changes everything. So then I was like obsessed with the acquisition of knowledge, and I still am
Nice.
absolutely obsessed with it. So I crushed like over 300 books over about 3 or 4 years.
Damn.
A lot of audiobooks, because I was listening to audiobooks while I was driving to and from work, while I was working. Some days I would do 2 books a day. Yeah, I don't know how many hundreds of books I've read, but it's a lot of books and like hundreds of thousands of hours worth of podcasts. And
Yep.
it's just this endless like hunger to become a better version of myself. But before, it was from a lack thereof, because I never thought I was good enough. And I
Mm.
always wanted to be more. So it was a very toxic energy and a very negative mindset that I was operating out of, because I was using comparison in a very negative light because I always wanted to be more. So I had like a transformation coach and I had a couple other coaches, and I really worked on that for many years. I meditated for like four, I guess it's like 7 or 8 years now, of like 20 minutes every day. Obviously I would take some days off, blah, 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 blah. I'm not that
I'm
strict.
with you. I understand.
But with that, like, I've transitioned to, I want to become the best version of myself and acquire as much information and knowledge and accomplish as much as I can because I want to. And it's exciting and it's joyful and it's going to bring me happiness. And I already am happy. And this is a journey that I'm on that I just absolutely love. Like, it's not, I have to read a book. It's like, I get to read a book. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
excited to read this book. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't have a business meeting tomorrow. I get to go to a business meeting tomorrow. Like, I'm stoked. I get to meet with my business coach. I get to start this other business. I get to do this, so like changing that mindset, but it all stemmed from like, clearly, Tom, what do you want to do with your life? Because if you're uncertain about what you want to do, then you're never going to be happy, because you're never going to be certain. You're always going to be doubting every move you make.
Bro, I love those fucking words you just said that because if it wasn't until I forgot when I learned that, but it was one of those days I was having a down day or something, and didn't really want to go work out, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to go do all this shit and make myself feel even worse. But I forgot what happened, but anyway, just when I said that, oh, I get to go do this every day, and I guess I had some kind of positive light, or I don't know what the word is for it, some kind of oblivion. Is that the word? Not oblivion. I don't know.
Believe.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Some kind of light that shined on me. It was like, dude, turn it around. Like, ooh, I get to go do this stuff every day. I get to get up in the morning and go read a book or listen to Joe Rogan or those other two guys I was talking about earlier. And it's just, yeah, dude. And like now we're talking because like I said, some people don't have that or they haven't found that yet in their life, and just that realize how much it's changed, and just that a lot of my change has come through my CrossFit workouts and my lifting and stuff, and just found out I'm putting myself through hard shit and putting myself around like guys I work out with, or police officers and stuff, and we're all grinding and doing the same shit. And there's something, we're building that camaraderie, and we're building that teamwork. And it's like, hey man, we're down here, I'm not a police officer or anything, but it's like, hey, I'm not doing the same work you are, but I'm also killing myself right now during this workout, making myself feel worse. It's like, I get to do this with these guys. I've have built some of the best friendships I have since starting this stuff, and it's like made me find that I want to learn more. I want my mind to grow. I want to be able to have conversations with people like you who are to do this and have good talking points and like learn about what you went through. And you said philosophy, and I never didn't even think about philosophy in college. You probably would have asked me philosophy what it was in college, what philosophy was in college. I would have said that something was Socrates, I guess, or whatever. But but like when I've sat down and have these intimate, is intimate the right word? I don't know, with these conversations where you really explore what philosophy means to you, as far as I don't know what a good example is right now. It's being a philanthropist. Hope I said that word right. If I fucked that up too, but like something along those lines. Or how do you feel about what did Socrates say? The only thing he ever found out was that he always knew that he didn't know anything, or something's like, oh, what did he mean by that? stuff like that. And you have these great conversations. You build these relationships you never think you would have. And I've kind of lost my point on this rant, but yeah, I guess it was just like, yeah, just learning all of that. Just didn't know how much I would be able to change your life, and just these little small things that you just tell yourself every day. I guess that was my point I was going for.
Totally, totally. And what, like the more you learn in general, like you, it's true, like the more you realize that you don't know, because no matter what statement you make, you can be incorrect. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
that's why I'm really say individuality a lot, because I'm like, oh, if I say you need to work more, some people don't need to work more, they need to work less, right? It's for the small minority, right? In majority, but and then you can say like, oh, this person should eat more vegetables, but they're allergic to vegetables, so they should eat less vegetables. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what you say, there's always somebody that it's not the perfect fit for. So you need to like encapsulate that into a form where you can communicate it effectively, but it's difficult because you have to add in so many variables to every conversation because everything is unique to each individual. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Just because some of the stuff, yeah, that I've been doing through my life and what you've been doing is going to be completely different than what Elon, like we said that Elon Musk is completely different what he went through in his life. So
Yeah.
it's all depends on like the choices you get. Like Matthew McConaughey wrote about green lights, and so
It's a
it's
good book.
yeah, just talking about the opportunities you get in your life and what you decide to do with them, basically. And not everybody can hold your hand for you. They either take that opportunity or even realize it is an opportunity. And I fucked up a lot once, man. I look back on it, it's like, man, that was right there in front of my face as far as stuff in college, and I just ignored it. And yeah, so in this, like that same opportunity would not have been, what you would have had in your life, or The Rock, or Elon, or Warren Buffett, or whoever, your role model is, or whatever. So yeah, it's all unique, and it's all like how you decide to live your life and decide like what is the meaning of this opportunity right now. But yeah, it's also a great book too, dude. It's something
Yeah.
I wish I would have known when I was younger also.
That was such a funny book. I remember he like hit his dad in the face with a 2x4, and then his dad gets knocked him out. Dad gets up.
Exactly.
I've never been so proud of you in my life. Like that was the day I earned my dad's respect. Oh man, I had so many good laughs when I was listening to that book. Um, and to your point earlier in the conversation about like the negative thoughts, like one thing that really helped me is I read this book called Sapiens, and it talks about like the evolution of humans.
I've read that.
And negative thoughts, our brains are like really wired for negativity because negativity is danger. Typically, that's what our brains are looking for, is dangers, because survival. The longer
Sure.
that we can survive for as a human, the better. So we're conditioned to look for negative situations so that we can avoid them and we can survive. So generally, I can't quote me on these studies, but they say like 70% of the average human's thoughts are negative because of that survival instinct. And then with that, I think Joe Dispenza, it's either 60 or 80,000 thoughts the average human has per day.
That sounds
70% of them are reoccurring, from the previous day. It's like a subconscious wiring. So when you become aware of those two things, that one, the human condition is constantly looking for negative so that you can survive for longer. So then you can be like aware of that and want to change that and adjust it. And then also realizing that 70% of your thoughts are regurgitated on a daily basis subconsciously. Then you want to also start making adjustments to that, because then you can adjust them to being more significant, more fulfilled, more happy, more joyful, more productive, less anxious, less depressive.
yeah, dude. That's exactly 100%. I mean, never really looked at it, and like 60 to 70% of your thoughts are negative, but yeah, and reoccurring. But it's like I said earlier, yeah, it's easy to get followed in that trap. I fall into it all the time. And even I think you may have said something about it earlier, and I wanted to bring this up, but I've had a few people talking about imposter syndrome on here, and that's something that I kind of deal with. And the way I describe it is that you're going to be called out for your talents, or realize that you're not good enough, or there's something along that, no matter what you're doing in life. And it doesn't,
Hmm.
and I can find myself out, especially during my competitions and stuff. It's like right when we get ready to go, or they do the countdown for when we're supposed to start our lift or whatever. It's just like, fuck, leading up to it, it's like, man, here it goes. I mean, I'm probably going to bust out my knee on this one, or everyone's going to realize I'm a fluke or whatever. But then right once, like Mike Tyson taught me this a while back. Well, he didn't really personally teach this to me, but I heard him talking about it. But that, right when he was starting to walk to the ring, I think it was in his documentary, that he would start telling himself that he is a fucking god, that
Mhm.
he's a master of all this, and like obviously he was knocking out everybody. So it was right then. Once I hear the clock start going down, I was like, all right, turn the volume down and switch the other switch on, man, and just like, all right, you're fine, dude. You're gonna be cool, man. And it always turns out okay, but it's just my own inner head just getting in my way, and it's one of
Yeah.
those things that a lot of people can't get out of their own way. And it's one thing, speaking of growth mindset and stuff, it's like I'm still learning to do it, but I'm doing it better, I think.
Yeah. And if you can take that, 70% negative and turn it to 51% positive, like how much better is your life going to be? And then because you've tipped the scale to that positive side, now 51% of your thoughts are positive. And then your brain rewires for more positive, more positive, more positive. And then next year it's 55%, and then it's 60%, then it's 65%. Then every conversation that you have, every experience, every opportunity, you're going into it fulfilled and joyful and happy. And guess what? You're closing more business deals. You're accomplishing more because people want to operate and connect with people who are happy and joyful. So really like monitoring that self-talk and then working to improve it. And negative thoughts can be as simple as, they don't have to be like dangerous thoughts. They can just be like you were mentioning, like I could potentially blow out my knee because that is potentially dangerous. But it's also relative to like social settings as well. Like what if I go on a podcast and I say the wrong thing? Well, that's attached to like your reputation, which is attached to like their social hierarchy, which is attached to your income,
Sure.
which is attached to survival. You know what I mean? So like your brain just like monitors and analyzes everything, and then wants you to survive at all costs. So if there's any potential risk of this hindering your survival or progression, it's going to pop up like a little red flag if it's dangerous, or a little yellow flag. And you need to identify those yellow flags are just like little cautions. 90% of the time, they're totally irrelevant. It's like,
Sure.
cool, I could go on a podcast and say something wrong. Who cares? Keep on moving forward, right? It's like, what thoughts are actually making you aware of danger? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to stress that, that girl might say no when you ask her out? It's like, what? That's not dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, that guy behind the bar could stab you. Like, that's dangerous. Like, pay
No, I
attention.
agree. No, dude, I agree, 100%. And just touching on that a little bit more, kind of echoing what you said, that Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. That when I do fuck up or say the wrong thing, I 100% will own it. Like, okay, I messed up. I get it. I'll take full responsibility for it. And I wonder now if a lot of people hate saying they fucked up, and because it makes them look weak, to a certain extent. But I want to be able to tell you, I took a bad business deal, but I learned from it. But
Mhm.
yeah, but I fucked up though at the same time. But now I'm going to learn it, use it as a learning experience. And a lot of people are afraid to say like I don't know something, or even say no to something that they realize this might not be a good situation. And
Totally.
part of another thing I've been learning.
My brother, he loves like putting me in a room because he's like, Tom's gonna ask all the questions for everybody. He's gonna ask the stupid questions. He's gonna because I'm that guy in like high school, elementary school, or even now. I'm like, hey, the hell does philanthropy mean? And then like everybody looks around and they're like, how do you not know what philanthropy means? Right? It's just like I that was one thing that I was born with, was like a massive sense of curiosity about
Nice.
everything. So I always remember, I'll never forget this. I was driving with my mom and dad and my brother, and we were on like a road trip to go to like a cabin or whatever. It's like a 4-hour drive away. And I was asking my dad things like, Dad, how's plastic made? Dad, how is like paper made? And I'm like, Dad, how is glass made? And he's like, Tom, I swear to God, stop asking me questions. And like another time, I'm like, Dad, how does an internal combustion engine
Oh,
work?
shit.
And he's like a mechanic, right? So
Yeah.
then he's walking me through. He's like, okay, so there's a casing, and then there's a piston, and then it compresses an air to fuel ratio, and then there's a spark plug, and then it explodes, and then a piston goes down to a connecting rod, blah 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 blah. And that's how I learned. Like, that's how I learned everything. I'm like, how do I build a marketing business? Like I ask the question to myself and like to the universe, and then I go and find people that have built a marketing business, whether they've written about it in a book or whether they talk about it in podcasts, and you can learn everything. Like I'm so happy with society today. Like you have technology where you can look up anything. If you want to learn how to build a hedge fund, if you want to learn how to be a coach, if you want to learn how to public speak, if you want to do whatever it is, you want to learn about the NFT space, you can start going down any avenue and just start asking those words, start asking those questions, be curious and just keep going down that path. And you can literally do whatever the hell you want. And you'll figure out if you're interested in it or not. If you're curious about it and you keep asking more questions, that'll be a very strong indication of whether it's something that you want to continue to do or not.
Yeah, that's really just. I mean, I know we're getting kind of close on time here, but I know that's really a good point. Just there's really no more excuses for anything. That if you really want to do something, that you have the whole world at your feet to learn anything at. As far as like you just said, podcasts, YouTube, books. Find a mentor. I mean, there's if you really want to learn it, you can. And then
Yeah.
if you decide you don't like it, halfway in, all right, cool. Find the next thing. Find whatever it is that you want to do. And one thing like NFTs is something I've been trying to learn a bit more about and dive into. And it's interesting. I don't know if they're going to be the future. I don't know exactly how to explain it well, but it's just something I've been diving on too because I think it's interesting. And
Mhm.
I know a lot of people are making a lot of tons of money on it. And I was kind of like, well, maybe I need to try to catch this wave. So but
Totally.
yeah, but it's cool, man. It's cool to learn about it. Even if you don't care about making money, I was like, well, when somebody asks you, do you know what an NFT is? And they show you a picture of what is it, the Board 8 Yacht Club or whatever. It's like, yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool, man. Yeah,
Be curious about things that you want to learn, and you can make money doing anything. So
that's
try
it.
to turn a hobby into something that you can make money from, and then you'll technically never have to work a day in your life, even though you'll put a lot of time into it. If there's nothing else you'd rather be doing, then it's not considered work, right? So
Exactly, bro.
if you're curious about dancing or you're curious about music or whatever the hell it is, just go start learning about it. And you'll realize really quickly, because when you learn about something, it's either going to give you energy or it's going to take away energy from you. When you go and do something for 4 hours and you come back and you're like hyped about it, that's a pretty good indication that you could continue down that pathway. If you come back after 4 hours of whatever learning about calculus and you're just like want to shoot yourself, then maybe you don't then maybe you don't want to go down a pathway with a whole ton of math and calculus, you know what I mean? So
For sure. Tom, I think we should wrap this up and take it home on that right there. I think it's a good way to end this on it.
awesome.
People, you're a badass dude. If people want to find you and all that good stuff, or you want to plug your businesses or whatever you want to plug, feel free to do that, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, you can just find me, tommays.com is the best way to find me. I've got my businesses listed on there if any of them intrigue you. You can obviously reach out to me personally or to any of my businesses. And yeah, thanks so much for having me here, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been a lot of fun. I've been on, I don't know, about 8 podcasts in the past 3 weeks. And I got to say, I think this was the most fun so far.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that, bro. So
crush it, bro. You do a great
yeah, yeah,
job.
yeah. We'll set up another time, man, down the road. Well, if you get some more business going on, or you can teach me about some NFTs more, we'll do this again and bro out a little bit and have some
Let's
fun.
do it. Let's do it. Whiskey next time,
Oh, bro, you're speaking my language, bro. We'll definitely. Right, we'll do a part two to this right now. Here.
Too
But
funny.
no, I'm definitely down for that for sure. But yeah, dude. Thanks again, man. This was badass. So,
Awesome. Take care, Chris.
all right, we're out here, folks. See ya.